Many years ago, in the busy city of Enugu, lived a man named Mr. Okonta. He was the type of man you would call a workaholic, and a very diligent one at that. Every morning before sunrise, Mr. Okonta was already up. He would brush his teeth in the backyard while birds were still asleep. His toothbrush was old and bent like a fish hook, but it still did the job. Then he would pour water on his bowed head, mumble a short prayer, and slip into his brown dusty work boots, the same boots he had worn for over 10 years. By 6 a.m., he was already out of the door with his red metal toolbox and a bottle of lukewarm water. He worked as a mechanical field engineer for a construction company in Enugu. His job was to fix generators, weld broken parts, check pipes, and crawl under noisy machines while sweating like rain. Come rain or shine, public holiday or not, Mr. Okonta was always on duty. He lived in a 2-bedroom flat with his wife Onyinye and their 4 children, Miracle, Muna, Marvelous, and the last born Kamsi, whose crying voice was louder than a church speaker. Onyinye worked as a teacher in a nearby private school. She was a mindful and intentional woman who managed her home and marriage well. As for the children, they were a handful. Miracle, the firstborn, was writing WAEC. Muna had just entered GSS 3. Marvelous was always on his drawing sheet, while Kamsi asked questions like, "Daddy, why don't you fly to work like Superman?" Life in the Okonta's household was always noisy, busy, and full of expenses. Unfortunately, no matter how hard Mr. Okonta worked, his money never lasted. He was always complaining. "Before the salary enters my account, school fees, rent, NEPA bill, church levy, Pure Bliss biscuits, and transport have already swallowed it." One evening, he sat on the couch counting 1,000 naira notes. Onyinye, his wife, stood behind him with her arms folded. "This one can't last us 1 week," she said. He scratched his head. "I know, but I will manage." "You always say that." Okonta smiled. "I am a man. Managing is part of our blood." "But for how long, Okonta?" Onyinye asked gently. He didn't answer because he didn't know. However, Okonta didn't lose hope, and he didn't wear his problems on his sleeves. In the neighborhood, people called him Engineer for Life. He had been working with the same company for over 24 years, and he believed the company would reward his loyalty one day, maybe with a big pension, or maybe even with a company car. After all, didn't they always applaud him when he fixed tough problems? Didn't they call him Odogu Engineer at staff meetings? So, every time his wife brought up the issue of savings, investment, or starting a small side business just to secure his retirement, Okonta would wave her off. "My own retirement will be sweet. Leave all this panicking. I am not even planning to stop work soon. I am still very strong." Mr. Okonta had a long-time friend named Mr. Ikechukwu who used to work in the same company with him, but they were like word and opposites. While Okonta was relaxed and laid back, Ikechukwu had always been the sharp one. Even back in the early days, when he and Mr. Okonta were young field engineers, Ikechukwu would carry a jotter to every training seminar and take notes like a university student preparing for projects. He used to say, "Any knowledge that refuses to enter the head now will punish you later," while Okonta would laugh and say, "Abeg, rest. Too much planning is what kills enjoyment." However, years later, Ikechukwu's planning was showing off. He left the company 5 years ago with dignity, started a solar panel installation business, and had even started teaching youths in his community how to wire more houses and power boreholes. He wasn't a rich man yet, but he had peace and confidence. He had built a comfortable 3-bedroom bungalow in Umuahia. His wife was running a supermarket, while his first child was in a private university. One Saturday evening, Ikechukwu visited. He saw Onyinye and greeted her with a full Igbo blessing as a true son of the soil. You will eat the fruits of your labor. You will not cry when the harvest comes. Onyinye smiled. Amen. Thank you, sir. Then Ikechukwu sat with Okonta outside under the mango tree and said, "My guy, I hope you're already planning your retirement." Okonta laughed. "Retirement kwa? I still get energy now." Energy is not pension, Okonta. You need to start saving now. Set up something, buy a land, invest small. Okonta waved it off. Ike, relax. You like to fear too much. I still have time. Ikechukwu looked at him for a long time and sighed. "I don't like the way you are handling this your retirement matter." Okonta leaned back. Is it by force to panic? It is not panic, Ikechukwu replied. It is preparation. Let me ask you, how long more do you think your company will keep you? "I have been there for 24 years, Okonta replied. "Exactly," Ikechukwu said. "I'm sure they're already looking at you like an expired drug. Do you think loyalty protects you in this country?" Okonta giggled. "They call me Odogu engineer. I am not going anywhere yet." Ikechukwu gave him a serious look. "See, I am not trying to scare you. I am just trying to carry you along. Start something, even if it is small. I can help. My guy, the way this country is going, you can't afford to walk into retirement empty-handed." Okonta sighed. "Bros, I hear you, but where is the money now? My salary doesn't even stay long enough for me to see it clearly." "But you can start small. Open a second account. Begin with 5,000 naira every month. Buy half a plot of land in a developing area. Learn a modern skill. Register something in your wife's name. Anything at all," Ikechukwu advised. "Okay, I have heard you. Let me finish paying the school fees first. Then I'll think about it." That night, Onyinye brought it up again. "You heard Ikechukwu. Please, let's start something small, even if it is just a provision store." Okonta frowned. "I have told you, I am still strong. When it is time, my company will remember me for good." Onyinye said nothing else, but she started writing ideas in a small notebook because in her heart, she knew something her husband didn't. The storm doesn't always send warning before it rains. The next week, Okonta's salary came in, but by 10 a.m. the next day, it was already on life support. Onyinye sat with him at the table that evening, holding the bills like a soldier reading bad news from the battlefield. Rent, 180,000 naira. School fees for Miracle and Mona, 240,000 naira. Uniforms and books, 35,000 naira. Light bill plus fuel for generator, 28,000 naira. Transport plus food, 60,000 naira. Church harvest levy, 10,000 naira. Kamsis biscuits and cartoon subscription, uncountable. Okonta looked at the figures and hissed. "This money just came to greet me and left." Onyinye was quiet for a moment. She then said gently, "My husband, let's take Ikechukwu's advice. If we don't act now, one day we might regret." But Okonta's pride was louder than reason. He pushed the paper away and said, "Everything will be fine. My company is secure." 2 weeks later, Ikechukwu called Okonta. "Bro, there is a 3-day seminar on investment and business planning. Come with me, it is free." But Okonta replied, "When I finish repairing the broken compressor on site, if there is still time, I will come." Okonta, this your work is stealing your future. You don't even have time for yourself. Okonta laughed. Ikechukwu, you like seminars more than small children like sweets. Ikechukwu smiled. Well, because these sweets will stop me from bitter medicine later. Still, Okonta didn't attend. Meanwhile, at work, things were changing. A new and younger supervisor had been hired. 2 senior staff were asked to take on early retirement, and more emails came about restructuring and budget cuts. One Friday, during lunch break, Okonta overheard 2 HR ladies talking near the printer. Very soon, they will clear the old ones. The new system doesn't even need half of them. Okonta walked past them, pretending not to hear, but their words followed him all the way to his seat. Still, he assured himself, they won't do it to me. No, I am too useful. That evening, Onyinye came back from school holding a brochure. Look, this is a training on how to run a small food business. It's just 15,000 naira. Okonta looked up. For who? For me! He scoffed. You're already working, Onyinye. Why do you want to add more stress? Onyinye sighed. I want us to have something else in case you're company, you know? Okonta frowned. Nothing will happen to my job. Let's not talk like that. She didn't argue. She just turned and walked into the kitchen, muttering to herself. It's not about fear. It's about facing reality. And then, one day, Onyinye and the children were on holiday from school, while Okonta had gone to work that Monday morning as usual. However, when he got to the office, something felt off. Everyone was unusually quiet. 2 of the junior engineers who usually greeted him with "Good morning, senior man," only nodded awkwardly at him. The HR door was open, and one of the secretaries was crying quietly while typing. Okonta walked past and tried not to look concerned. Maybe someone lost a relative, he thought. He entered the tea room and poured himself a cup of lukewarm tea. But even the tea didn't taste the same anymore. Just then, a junior staff entered and whispered, "Sir, have you checked your mail today?" Okonta frowned. Which mail? The boy looked around and said, "They are letting people go." Okonta froze. Letting who go? People, especially the old staff. I heard they've printed over 30 letters already. Okonta laughed nervously. Really? Well, they can't touch me. They still need me for the transformer maintenance next week. The boy didn't reply. He just quietly left the room. At exactly 11:14 a.m., someone tapped Okonta on the shoulder. HR is calling you, sir. He stood up slowly and took a deep breath before going. As he sat down in front of the HR manager, a young lady in glasses who barely looked 28, she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Sir, thank you for coming." She handed him a white envelope. Okonta opened it, and inside were cold words written in bold red letters. "You are hereby retired, effective immediately, due to company restructuring." The rest of the words became blurry. He blinked. Sweat gathered at the back of his neck, and his ears rang. What do you mean retired? I wasn't warned. I haven't even prepared." The HR lady looked sorry, but she didn't take the letter back. "Your final pay will be processed this week. You can collect your things from the locker before Friday." Okonta didn't speak as he left the office. He didn't say goodbye. Neither did he touch his toolbox. He just walked like someone in a trance. The Okonta who walked into the office that morning had a future, but the one walking out now had questions. Much to Onyinye's shock, he arrived home before 2 p.m. She rushed to the door. "You came back early today. Hope there's no problem." He didn't answer. He dropped the envelope on the table and sat down staring at nothing. Onyinye picked up the envelope slowly, opened it and froze. Her hands trembled. "Retired? How? Why?" Still, Okonta didn't say a word. He just stared ahead as if time had stopped. That night, he sat alone in the backyard. The moon was full and the breeze was soft, but inside his chest was thunderous. He thought about all the times Ikechukwu tried to warn him. He thought about Onyinye's training brochure. He remembered the HR lady's voice and the red letters. And then, for the first time in many years, he cried. Not quietly or secretly, but open, honest and shameful tears. Onyinye came outside and saw him. She didn't speak. She just sat beside him and held his hand. After a long silence, he whispered, "I was a fool." 2 days later, Okonta went back to collect his things. His retirement package was 350,000 naira after 24 years of loyal service. That was it. 350,000 naira. He took it in a brown envelope and walked away without looking back. The first day after retirement, Mr. Okonta woke up at 5:30 a.m. out of habit. He wore his boots, grabbed his toolbox and headed for the door until he remembered. Then he stopped, stared at the wall and slowly put the toolbox back down. He had nowhere to go now. By the end of the week, the 350,000 naira retirement package had already started disappearing. 120,000 naira went to pay 3 months rent upfront. 50,000 naira was for school fees deposits. 15,000 naira was used to settle medicines and Marvelous's broken glasses. 10,000 naira was spent on fuel and NEPA. 30,000 naira was used to restock food and refill cooking gas, while 5,000 naira donation went for a neighbor's emergency burial contribution. The rest was gone. It felt like the money only came to greet the family and left before even drinking water. Onyinye tried to stretch what remained. She cut down cooking oil, removed snacks from the shopping list, boiled yam without sauce and called it light dinner. But things were not the same. The children too noticed the change. Kamsi asked one evening, "Daddy, why are you always at home now?" Okonta smiled. "Daddy is on holiday." Miracle wasn't fooled though. "But you've never gone on holiday before. We don't even have money again." Muna quietly added, "And there was no meat in the soup this week." Onyinye scolded them gently. "It's okay, we are fine, nothing is wrong." Okonta began to feel sick from staying at home, and so he polished his shoes and rewrote his CV. He applied for over 15 jobs in 2 weeks. He even tried to become a gatekeeper at a warehouse, but they told him, "Sorry sir, we are looking for someone under 40. One online company invited him for a digital interview and asked him, "Can you join a Zoom call for the final stage?" But Okonta, who was outdated, asked, "Zoom, what is that? Is it a video game?" Another company asked him to dance for a product promotion reel. Okonta tried, but his knees cracked like biscuits. They didn't even call him back. As days passed, Okonta began to feel useless. The man who once climbed poles and repaired machines now sat at home watching lizards chase each other on the fence. Every sound of a generator reminded him of the work he used to do. He tried watching TV, but Onyinye had disconnected the cable to save money. He picked up the newspaper, but it was last month's edition. Even the radio annoyed him. It had too much talk, too much music, and too many people moving on while he was stuck. Meanwhile, Onyinye did not cry. She had no time for that. Instead, she moved into action. She paid for the 15,000 naira food business class she had once shown her husband and started attending every evening after school. She borrowed an old cooler and started frying small chops on Saturdays at the front of the house. Miracle, her first son, helped her to design a WhatsApp status flyer. She then shared the work among the other children. She carried chinchin in small ziplocs to church. Muna helped with dough mixing, while Marvelous handled music and jokes for customers. But Okonta was silent from shame. He watched them all quietly, sitting by the corner with a newspaper he wasn't reading. Mr. Ikechukwu called him one morning. "How are you holding up?" Okonta answered quietly. "They say retirement, but this one feels like rejection." "You still have life, Okonta, that is something." "But I don't have a plan." Ikechukwu paused. "Then maybe it is time to make one." That night, as Onyinye counted her 5,500 naira profits for the day, she handed him 1,000 naira. "Yeah, for your pockets." Okonta looked at the money as if it was a mirror, and for the first time in weeks, he cried again. But Onyinye didn't console him. She just said, "Next time someone tells you to plan ahead, don't call them fearful, call them wise." Then she walked away. The next morning, Mr. Okonta stood in front of his mirror and told himself, "I was proud, but pride cannot buy bread. I need to feed my family." That day, he made a decision. He would stop pretending. He picked up his phone and called Ikechukwu, and they agreed to meet at a small canteen. Ikechukwu arrived with a backpack and a wide smile. "Okonta, my brother, welcome back to the land of the living." Okonta gave a weak smile. "I came to beg for cents." They sat at a wooden table and ordered bread and beans. "Talk to me," Ikechukwu said. "I need to start anything at all. I can't keep sitting at home while Onyinye sells puff puff." Ikechukwu nodded. "Good. But first, you would need to forget you were engineer number one. For now, you are just a man trying to survive." Okonta agreed. "I am ready." "Okay then, I have one small contract. Someone needs their borehole pump fixed in my area. It is not much, but we'll go together." Okonta paused. "We?" Ikechukwu laughed. "I am not here to dash you fish. I want you to learn how to catch it." From that day, Ikechukwu took him along to different jobs. A woman's blender motor had burnt and needed repair. A church needed rewiring, while a youth group needed solar panel advice. At each place, Ikechukwu would ask, "What is your diagnosis, Engineer Okonta?" Okonta would think and answer. Sometimes he got it wrong, but he was learning. He was also surprised to see how much people needed technical help but couldn't afford company level prices, and that gave him an idea. Miracle designed a simple poster for him. "Fix it, uncle. Reliable home repairs at your doorstep. For your plugs, pumps, fans, switches. Call Engineer Okonta, 2,000 naira and above." He printed over 50 copies and pasted them at barber shops, bus stops, and local pharmacies. He even offered one free job to the local tailor so she could help him spread the word. And within 1 week, the calls began. They came in slow at first, then they became more frequent. Some people paid 2,000 naira, while some paid 3,000 naira. One Saturday, Okonta came back from a job at 6 p.m. and dropped 7,500 naira on the table. "This is from 4 houses. One man even begged me to fix his gate for free food." Onyinye looked at the money and then she looked at him. "You are glowing." Okonta grinned. "Am I?" "Yes, I think your confidence came back with this money." Okonta laughed. Then he added seriously, "Thank you for not giving up on me." Onyinye nodded. "Thank you for finally listening." The next few months became a turning point in Mr. Okonta's life. He no longer woke up out of habit. He now woke up with purpose. He would iron his shirts, wear his trusted brown boots, and clean his once rusty toolbox with pride. His tools had become his new pension. Every morning after prayers, Onyinye would pack him a small flask of tea and a bag of puff-puff. "Go and represent us well," she would say with a wink. "I will. The street is waiting for Fix-It Uncle." The little flyer he designed began doing wonders. Okonta started getting calls from new customers. A widow in Obiagu needed her ceiling fan repaired. A small barber shop in Ogbete needed their lights rewired. A church also needed help installing backup batteries. He made sure he always greeted them well, fixed their things neatly, and charged fairly. Before long, people started recommending him. "Call that short engineer with strong hand." Yes, the one they call Fix-It Uncle. One day, while repairing a faulty iron at a woman's house, a boy stood at the door watching him. "Uncle, can I learn this work?" Okonta looked up. The boy couldn't have been more than 13. "What is your name?" "I am Buchi." "Where are your parents?" "My mama sells food. My papa, I don't know him." Okonta paused for a moment and then said, "Come tomorrow by 4 p.m. Let's see how serious you are." The next day, Buchi showed up, and so did 2 other boys from the neighborhood. By the following week, Okonta had 5 boys standing beside him every evening, learning how to strip wires and use screwdrivers. He called them his backup batteries. At home, things improved too. Miracle got a small job as an online social media manager. Mona started selling handmade greeting cards after school. Marvelous helped Onyinye design a funny jingle for her snack business that went viral on TikTok. And Kamsi now proudly wore a mini tool belt, following his father around like an assistant. Even on days when money was tight, the house was no longer afraid. They were more confident now. One evening, Ikechukwu called again. "Okonta, I told someone about your comeback. He runs a vocational training center in New Haven. He's looking for someone to teach electrical repair. It's a small pay, but it comes with big respect. Are you interested?" Okonta blinked. "Me? A teacher?" Ikechukwu laughed. "Why not? You already have apprentices. You are qualified by fire and wire." After praying with Onyinye, Okonta agreed. He started that same week. At first, he felt nervous teaching in front of a class, but by the second session, he was holding the marker like a microphone. One Sunday night, after family dinner, Onyinye brought out a wooden box. "What is this?" Okonta asked. "Our emergency savings. I have been adding small change from Puff Puff. I want us to start again properly." Okonta opened the box and counted 18,250 naira in small notes. He stared at it like it was a box of gold. "What did I do to deserve you, Onyinye?" he whispered. They prayed over the box, and Kamsi, the last born, dropped in his 50 naira with joy. "This is for Daddy's future mansion," he shouted. Everyone laughed, and they embraced themselves. Even though he had no land or big investments yet, Okonta now understood the meaning of intentionality and fulfillment. He was no longer Engineer Okonta, the company man. He was now Fix-It Uncle to the streets, a mentor to young boys, husband and teammate to Onyinye, his lovely wife, father and friend to his children, and most importantly, a survivor turned teacher to his own generation. Thank you for watching the story. Today is Workers' Day, and this story is dedicated to all workers, to everyone who pours in their hearts and spirits into their work, even when the pay doesn't equate the efforts. You are the real MVP, even though it seems as though you are not being appreciated enough. However, while you spend your better years cultivating another's farmland, don't neglect your own, because for every beginning, there is an end. Think of your retirement and plan towards it. Remember, retirement is not the end. Lack of planning is. A fall is not failure unless you stay down. So, it's good to start early, even with the biscuits money you think is not enough. You'll be surprised at how much water you've been able to save in 5 years or 10 years from now. Think retirement. Think peace. Kindly share the story out with your loved ones, give the story a thumbs up, and subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way. Bye!